listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed, support causes that matter, change lives, change communities, change the world. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from. All that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Jackie Levezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Okay, good morning, Judge.
Judge, good morning, Lawrence. That's very formal of you. That's nice to hear, though.
That's just what I had on my mind today, Judge.
And good morning, everyone. It's we will sit after 7:03. We're right on time.
It is. The clocks work today. Everything works. The phone works. We got 3 great guests coming in today.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's Juan's coming in, correct?
Juan will be here at 8:30. Sue Marcy's here at 8. And, oh my God. Bill Merchant from the D&H Canal is here at 7:30.
I don't know much about the D&H Canal.
Well, you will after he comes, because this
I'm
guy...
interested to hear.
Yeah, well, you know what the D&H Canal is, right?
I know the history.
All right, good. Well, then you're going to know a lot more about it. No, he gets a lot of hits on YouTube. He's got quite a big following of people that actually listen to him. And I didn't even know who Bill Merchant was.
Now, it's a museum now, I take it.
It is, and it's in High Falls, and Bill runs it, and he'll explain most of it to you. But Bill used to be on with Fred and Cynthia Wadnola. They used to do Thursdays.
I just saw Fred and Cynthia.
Yeah.
I went to the diner for the first time in probably...
I was going to say, I thought maybe you saw Fred at the bank cashing one of his pension checks.
Well, he may be, because they sold their business.
He finally sold Fred's place? Good for him.
And they're moving to Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Said taxes are a little different in Tennessee than New York State, Lawrence. What a shock.
Well, that doesn't shock me, but you could have moved to anywhere. But Tennessee?
Maybe
their kids live there. I'm not... They do have 2 kids.
I know some other people. Bob Ilges, who used to live up here.
So he's taking his 10 pensions and moving to Tennessee.
I didn't ask him about his...
That's another... No, I mean, I like Fred, and Fred and Cynthia both put a lot of time in this radio station. I think Fred was here God, I want to say 16 years he put in on KCR on the Thursday show. But anyway, that's where Bill Merchant comes from, is from the Fred I think they called their, I forget what they called their show, but he was on there anyway. And
regular guest.
Right, and then when Fred and Cynthia retired, Bill moved to Tuesdays with Cam and Nina. And now we got him back on.
Cam and Nina are Fridays now.
No, they're Tuesdays. Fridays are Hugh and Mario.
That's not every Friday. That's just,
no, they're every other Friday. And Dan Gruner is and Dan and Fran are every other Friday. And they're on. Dan actually has a big show lined up for tomorrow. He has. I don't know how he did it. He's been trying to get him. Dan started being a host around, I'd say sometime in the beginning of football season last year, sometime September, October. He came on as a guest. We liked him. I grew up with Dan.
Dan's a good guy.
Yeah, me and AJ are the same age. His older brother.
Of the community, the entire Gruner family.
Yeah. Oh, he's a huge supporter of Happy Christmas Fund. He donated a ton of money last year. Anyway, not a ton of money, but more than he did a good job. Not as good as you, Judge. You did a tremendous job.
Now I can do those things.
Well,
wasn't
you did
able
a great
to do
job
it for 40 years.
Anyway, so yeah, he's got a show. Him and Fran do opposite on Fridays. Then there's a Saugerty show on Wednesday, which was yesterday.
So who's Dan got coming in?
So tomorrow he's got Dr. He's got the superintendent of Kingston City Schools, and he somehow got Jim Shaughnessy to come in too. So parents are in an outrage about all the stuff and the changes that are going on. Dan persuaded them to come on.
Well, that's good.
And that is really good, yes.
So that's something, it's best to take things on head on.
It is. And he's been trying to get them on for at least for quite some time, for the whole time he's been here. So kudos to Dan for doing that. I see in the U.S. front page of the USA Today, maybe I should bring this up for our Democratic listeners. We lost Madeleine Albright yesterday. It seems like I didn't know that she was only 84.
Only 84. I'm praying to make 74.
Oh, I think I think your situation is different. But I thought she was older than that. But
I think she was appointed by Clinton.
She was the Secretary of the State, the ambassador to the UN. She was part of the NATO expansion. She was Secretary of the State from 97 to 2001.
Although I agree.
Oh, she had cancer.
Yes, she died of cancer. They didn't say what type, but 84 that's a good age.
Oh, it's still a good run. I mean, I hope I lived to 84. But
I'll be 69 on Sunday.
Whoa! Yeah. We got to put your name in for the cow pie.
I could probably. This cow pie is wonderful, but I probably should skip.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
I'm an ice cream fiend.
Oh, yeah.
I'll eat the whole damn thing in one sitting. I would. It's not good.
Yeah.
It is good. Cow pie is great.
It is. No, they're very filling. I'm not going to, I won't argue with you there.
Young and in shape, you can do these things.
Yeah. So City's set to reverse the vax stance, clearing the way for Kyrie and Barkley and ending the Mets and the Yankees.
It's kind of
But the kids still got to wear masks to school, though, right?
Well, I think they're going to stop that soon.
Oh, that's good.
Who knows?
Well,
except Fauci's back.
Oh, God.
Dr. Fauci's back, so what do they call him? Dr. Doom and Gloom?
Doctor, I don't believe a word he says. That's what I call him.
I don't know.
He changes his mind every time he goes to the bathroom.
I'm not a biologist.
I am not either. I know, but you're a double major in history.
I just said I was trying to be facetious about that. I was listening to the congressional hearings on Judge Jackson.
Oh, yeah, I was watching those yesterday, too.
It really is.
I thought Ted Cruz was, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought Ted Cruz was being a little petty yesterday.
I don't know if he's petty. The problem is that
did they really have to go over that?
I think they had to. I mean, they have to ask something. I think they should do it in a more respectful fashion. But having said that, did you see? Now look, Democrat, Republican, I don't care about.
Right, I hear you.
Do you recall what the Democratic Judiciary Committee did with Judge Kavanaugh?
Yeah, they ran him through the ringer. It was terrible.
The vice president?
Yeah, it was terrible. And then what about the lady that went in there, Comey Barrett? What was her name? Yeah.
Judge Barrett.
Yeah, Judge Barrett, yeah.
They harped upon her religious beliefs,
right,
which I thought was a constitutional right.
So maybe this is a get-back version.
I think they're being, relatively speaking, for anyone that wants to be objective about this, call up. And you can call this stuff up on the internet. Call up how they treated Judge Kavanaugh.
They treated Brett Kavanaugh. It was terrible.
And some pride. It was just horrible. And no one asks a question. They just use it as a speaking point for them.
Right.
And it's
I don't know. I should have taken that into account yesterday when I heard. But I was watching Ted Cruz, and I'm watching the guy that's going on. He's like, we've already kind of voted on this. Do we really have to go through it again and do all this and that? I kind of agreed with the guy. I was like, what the heck? But I was watching some of that yesterday too, and. Yeah, no, that is a grueling process, and the lady's sitting there like she can't say anything until they ask her a question, so she basically has to sit there.
She gets to make an opening statement. She
Right.
gets to make a closing statement.
Right, but basically while they're sitting there grilling her,
well, she can't. She's not permitted to finish the answer.
Right, exactly.
However, honestly, the candidates that are about to be exposed to that, they know what the questions are going to be. They do like a mock trial where they have other people stand up and cross-examine them.
Right. So they're ready when they sit.
They're ready, and they give tight answers, pre-scripted answers. So it's just, I think it's an embarrassment, quite frankly. And then typically you take a look at how the vote is. Republicans vote yes or no. Democrats vote the opposite. It's just an embarrassment.
Right.
It's just an absolute embarrassment and a waste of, in my opinion, tax dollars and a waste of their time.
Right.
So, speaking of which, what do you think, President Biden, and be good? We want to remain on YouTube, Lawrence, but
we're good as long as we say "Let's go, Brandon." That's all we got to do. I just can't. I've been saying it all week. You kidding me? I haven't stopped saying it since you left.
I had no idea what that meant until I went back and researched it. Now
I didn't know what it meant until I was at a Giant game, and I saw this guy running through the parking lot with this. I'm like, is there a new Giant on the? Is there a new a new guy on the team named Brandon? And then Cameron Rylance was the one that pointed it out to me. And I guess during the baseball playoffs last year, the World Series or something, he came out to throw out a first pitch, and they slandered him with curse words.
And I don't mean to contradict you. I'm sure that happened also. It originated during, I think, a NASCAR event.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And
yes,
there was a young man that won the event. He was being interviewed by a young lady. And during the interview, a chant started in the crowd. His name, the winner of the event, was Brandon.
Oh, no way.
They were not chanting, "Let's go, Brandon." They were saying, "Blank Joe Biden."
Right, that's what they were saying. That's what they were saying at the World Series.
This started at the NASCAR event. That's where it first started. And the reporter was either did not hear it, which I doubt, or was quick enough on her feet to say they're cheering you. Let's go, Brandon. That's how that started.
Oh, that's cool.
At a NASCAR event.
No, I remember when he came to he went to a Washington Nationals game, went to throw out a first pitch, and obviously people in D.C., they've been voting Democrat across the board for years. And to hear at a Washington Nationals game, which is pretty much right it's right on the Beltway, for Christ's sake, for them to be yelling those obscenities at our president was kind of shocking. And then ESPN didn't air it. I mean, it got to a point, and maybe that NASCAR event was because NASCAR ends when it starts to get cold. They don't do NASCAR, so maybe that happened before that. But yeah, so now that's the terminology for that, and there's nothing that YouTube or Google or anyone can do about it. It's just and we also have someone that works here named Brandon, so we're good. We don't, but we could.
Well, you may be.
Well, the janitor
may be cheering him on.
Yeah, the janitor's name is Brandon.
That could be.
And he's a really nice guy. And I always say, "Let's go," because I want my stuff clean. So it's all good. But anyway,
you sound like a politician trying to.
Well, yesterday Cahill and all the guys were on, so that rubs off on me.
Brian Cahill?
No,
Steve Cahill.
The only Cahill that comes here.
Wouldn't know.
The guy that brings breakfast every other Tuesday.
Try not to.
Speaking of
talk
breakfast,
about our assemblyman.
Yeah, I mean, he had some. He had some good. He says,
he supports the radio station.
He supports the radio station. I like Kevin Cahill. Sometimes I don't agree with all his politics,
Well,
but hey, that's the way it is.
One out of the two of us, I guess, he's at 50%. So we won't discuss it. I'm going to take the high road.
Yeah, but speaking of the breakfast, our KCR breakfast at the Elks Lodge next week is turning out.
I keep forgetting about it.
Yeah, well, you should come because Juan's coming. A lot of people are coming, and we're up to like 100 and a couple hundred people now. So
if you,
I know everybody's not going to be there at once. People are going to pop in, say hi to Ken.
I do think you sent me an email on that.
Yeah, I'll remind you about it. It's next Tuesday. It's at the Elks Lodge. The Elks Lodge is at 143 Hurley Avenue.
What day of the week is it?
It's Tuesday. Yeah, Cam and Nina will be broadcast.
What's the date?
Oh, March 29th.
Okay, I'm fine.
Yeah. And we'll be going to La Canard right after the show's over. So
it's in the morning.
It's in the
I don't
morning.
even think they're open, are they?
No, they open at 11. They open at 11.
Been to the Canard in a little bit. So.
Yeah, I actually went there for lunch right after they just reopened. So we just had dinner there on Saturday. I went there for lunch last week, and I tell you, the food is good there for lunch, and it's not as pricey as it is for dinner. So I have
something. The prices there, it's worth it. It's
totally.
And it's what the New York City crowd will pay.
It is, and I love the food there. We just ate their dinner Saturday night. We had for 2 weeks they were closed, and we had to go out in other restaurants in Kingston, which is nice. We went to Ship to Shore one night. Food is excellent there.
You know what I really like?
It's just hard to find a parking spot down there.
You should try sometime. It's hard because then you have to drive back, so you have to be very careful.
You don't have to. You still got the judge plate, right?
No. And I never. Let me tell you a funny story. Let me tell you a funny story about that. If we have,
it's got Joe Sinagra in it.
2 minutes. No, this is another.
This
is a true story. I'm very proud of this.
All right, good.
I'm district attorney at the time, and I'm so proud. It's something, born and raised on Crown Street, shadow of the courthouse. But I also really tried never. I had the DA badge, never used it. I had district attorney plates. They didn't say DA or Ulster County DA.
It doesn't say DA in the corner? No?
I didn't do any of that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want that. But I had special plates. You'll understand in a second. I never went out for lunch. John Prizzi and I would always work
Nico's?
through lunch. Never.
You see Mike at Nico's all the time, Kavanaugh.
Mike handled it significantly different than I was, and he's a better man for it. But no, I did not. However, I had to get a gift for my wife. It was a birthday coming up. So I jump in the car, didn't speed, strangely enough. I'll do 5 miles over the speed limit, 10 on the thruway. I'm traveling out to the mall when there was a mall, and I go by a sheriff's deputy's car. I didn't have my seatbelt on. He pulls me over. I said, "Oh, you idiot, here's $50 that I don't need to be spending."
It must have been a long time ago.
It was.
Now they're like a $150.
$50,
Yeah.
a long time ago. I was DA. He comes to the car, and he's a young man. Now, honestly, this is the arrogance, a little bit of an ego. He's a deputy. I'm the district attorney. I've been trying murder cases for 30 years.
Right. And you're not even the ADA.
I figured he's going to
recognize
recognize
now.
I'm the DA.
Right.
I figured he's going to recognize me. He comes, he goes, license and registration. He didn't recognize me. I'm not going to say anything. I don't think that's right. I've never done it, Lawrence.
Right.
No one believes that.
Well, you're also in a
Never
rush.
did it.
I remember when you said you
I'm trying to get back.
Right.
At the same point, I'm not going to. I didn't have my seatbelt on.
Were you
I
on
should be
Ulster
treated
Avenue?
I was coming back on Sauk Hill Road.
Okay.
Right over the bridge when you get off the exit.
Right.
So I give it to him, and now I'm going, he's going to recognize my name. He didn't recognize my face.
We're too young.
He says nothing. And finally, in a very officious voice, he says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I said, "Yeah." And now I'm trying to, I don't want to say anything. At the same point, I said, "Yeah, if anybody should know better, it's me." I didn't say who I was, but if anybody should know better, it's me. I should have had my seatbelt on. He says, "That's not the reason." And I said, "Really? I wasn't speeding." He goes, "No." And then he says, "Do you know that your license plates cannot be traced?"
What?
And I said, "Yes, I do." And he says, "Would you mind sharing that information with me?" I said, "Yes, I'm the district attorney. I have plates that cannot be traced for obvious reasons."
Right. For probably for protection.
Protection.
Yeah.
He went. Yeah, I drove an old Ford Taurus. He went white. He turned pure white.
He's like, here.
And he's going, no. And I said, no, relax. You did the right thing.
Right.
I said, he goes, oh my God, I'm going to be in Saskatchewan transferred just for Siberia. I said, relax, don't worry about it, but you have to give me the ticket for the seatbelt. He goes, what do you want to give me for it? I said, give me the ticket. It'll be okay.
Right.
Gives me the ticket. I pay the $50. I called Paul Van Blarkum. I said, Paul, and I congratulated Paul on having a good deputy and I said, I made him. He goes, you did what? I said, Paul, it was the right thing to do. I mean, why should, look, I was real proud of being district attorney, made tremendous sacrifices, Lawrence.
Right.
But why, because I'm DA, should I be treated any different than anyone else? And I
but
really believe
ticket, he could have gave you a break, but
he tried to.
Right.
He would have,
but you wouldn't
I
let
just
him.
didn't think it was right.
Right.
$50.
So did Paul rip the ticket up?
No, absolutely not.
He paid the 50.
Yeah, down of Ulster.
And that's the only point. Now, that's not a point on your license.
Not a point. No. However,
only ticket you ever got in your life?
I got a speeding ticket when I was in law school.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was it, and I don't.
What, coming back because you went to Albany Law? Was it coming back from Kingston?
I played.
Your mom was making a roast, and you
No,
flew back home
no,
to get it.
I was in Albany. I was actually playing basketball with some buddies. And
okay.
Went back to the dorm where I was staying, or the apartment, and was speeding. So I got hit.
Was that the Taurus too?
No, not if you had seen that Taurus.
A friend of mine had one in high school. I tell you, this thing took a beating, man. It was a Ford Taurus SE, and yeah, it was great, dude.
I don't recall if it was.
We took that thing to the Jersey Shore. We took it everywhere. I don't think Sean Curran is the one that had it. I don't think he changed the oil in it. I don't think he ever brought it to the car wash. There was so much dirt and dust on the front wheelchair. I'm like, I remember me and a friend of mine, Javier Tada, we'd be like, we would be sitting in the back seat, and our other friend Eric would be sitting in the front. I'm like, how does Sean even see through the windshield of this car? It was that dirty.
No,
everywhere this car went.
I kept it clean.
It was a great car.
And it ran. However, didn't have many miles on it. You got to remember, Lawrence, I mean, other than using it on DA's work, I would drive it back and forth.
Right, from Mountain View to here.
6 blocks away.
Right, exactly.
So by the time it was done, it was 8 years old when I turned it in. It didn't have a lot of miles on it, but it was...
Yeah, my mother's first Mercedes, besides driving me and all my friends to school at Bailey in the morning, then she would go to work, which was on John Street, where she used to, and then she'd come back and get us from school, go back to work. I don't think that car left, besides them going on vacation maybe once or twice a year, because that was in the mid-'80s. I was still, I was far from getting a driver's license, and I was in 7th or 8th grade. I was at Bailey. She'd drive us to school, then she'd go to work. I think when she sold that car, her first Mercedes, it was one of the big ones. I think she drove it for, I think it had under 100,000 miles. I remember when they went to go trade it in for the next Benz, they were like, oh my God, where do you find a Benz with this low miles on it that's, and this good of condition? And it wasn't like, they just were working all the time, back in the mid-'80s,
they lived uptown.
Right, they lived uptown. We would go, they would drive me to Dudley for the summer, whatever. But, and my dad too. And they always had separate cars. They took them to work. And we still have our parking space. Mike Brune still, it's funny, we were talking about Mike Brune before we went on the air. Right. Big Mike Brune. Judge Brune. That's actually how I should use it. Because I always...
J. Michael
Brune, yeah.
Now, Michael is his middle name.
Right, and Mike Brune is also his son.
Correct.
Right. Now, what is his real name?
I think
John?
it's James.
Oh, James Brune?
But I'm not certain. Good
His
man.
daughter is married to Jimmy
fair
Demosthenes.
Judge. Correct.
Annie's married to Jimmy Demosthenes.
What a great place that is.
Yeah, no, they're the whole family. I love the Brunes. They're good people. But I always call him Little Mike Brune, but now I'll just refer to him as Judge and Mike Brune. So Judge Brune, we've been renting, when he had his practice there before Mike Brune had a practice. He owned the building at 85 John Street. So there used to be a garage back there, and we used to park we used to park the B-Mobile back there. My car, when I got to be 16, 17, I used to have a car. He had a 3-car garage back there. He eventually tore the garage down, but we still to this day rent at least one spot from him. Now, maybe I shouldn't mention this on the air. I probably won't mention the price, but my Judge Brune still charges my mom 1980s prices to park a car. Like that's just what a nice guy he is.
He's just one of the nicest
So I saw the
guys.
bill the other day, and now Dino Demosthenes, who now lives down in Naples, who lives in the same complex as Judge Bruner.
Naples, that's a pricey.
It is. Well, he doesn't live right on the water. I think he lives.
Still pricey.
It's not as pricey as like Broward or Dade County, though. I mean, Florida is still.
What is Broward?
Florida,
Miami?
No, Broward is Fort Lauderdale.
Oh,
and
really?
like, yeah,
I thought
Broward
Naples
County
was one of the
Broward
most
County
expensive.
starts at the bottom of Boca Raton and goes until like Hollandale or Hollywood, and then North Miami starts, and that's all of Dade. Dade County is actually pretty big. County is probably, besides the county that Jacksonville, Florida is in, it's probably the second biggest county in Florida. But then I'd have to look. I never went to the Panhandle. I was the only part of the. Well, no, I did go to Doak Campbell Stadium once to see a Florida State Miami Hurricane game, which was actually one of the coolest football games I've ever.
It's amazing.
That stadium where the guy comes riding out, he's actually the real chief of the Seminole tribe. The guy, the chief. Native American. He comes out in his horse, and dude, people are going nuts. That's a really big Native American community.
They needed a chief and an entire tribe to keep the players out of state prison. University of Miami was one of the most horrible, corrupt.
Yeah, it's not as bad as the University of Florida, though.
I'm talking about was.
Yeah, no, they had some, but they were all great football players.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. None of them ever worked out for the Giants, but they worked out for other teams.
Well, no, didn't you have one wasn't he a linebacker? Armstead.
Yes, Armstead was good.
He was excellent.
Yeah, and Shockey would have been good if he didn't have the ego situation. Like
Shockey was good. He
was, but no, he just could. As soon as but him and Eli had a problem in the locker room. As soon as he got hurt that year, Eli never lost another. He only lost one other game. Him and Eli had a real problem. Eli was a locker room leader, but he always had this like. This guy in the corner, like the class clown idiot kind of guy.
Well, you have to deal with the class clowns.
Yeah,
too.
class clowns can be funny if they're just making a joke, but if they bring,
it can be a cancer within the
right, a cancer, right. And as soon as Shockey got out of the locker room, the Giants went on to win 2 Super Bowls. I mean, it didn't happen back to back, but the whole. Or Kevin Boston. Yeah,
I thought Shockey was great.
When they drafted him, I was living in Florida when we drafted.
Other than Lawrence Taylor, who is your all-time favorite New York?
Probably Lawrence Taylor because he's got my name.
But I said other than Lawrence Taylor.
Probably Eli. Only because
there's got to be one other guy. We'll give you some hints that you.
Ali Haji Sheik. My dad was alive. He'd laugh at that one.
He was a great place kicker.
Oh, you remember him?
Oh, I'm a Giant fan. Die
good.
How
about you're going to have to come to a game with us.
How about Mark Bavaro?
Oh, yeah. No, did you see my dad? You see behind my desk? I got a 8x10 glossy that he signed.
Really?
Yeah. And actually, another great Giant, Phil Simms, because I actually met him.
Phil Simms was tougher than
do you remember Duke Semoloff? He lived on Mountain View. Okay, so Duke and Phil were great friends. We got 3 minutes. I'll tell you this quick story.
Yeah.
Duke Semoloff, who lived on Mountain View, just like we did, and you probably were there already, too, because I was 12 years old.
No, I didn't get to Mountain View until like 91.
Okay. All right. So this was before that because I
had to live with my parents for the first 3 years of trying murder cases. Couldn't afford a place.
Well, it's paid off. You met Ann. And
finish your story.
Yeah. So the Giants, they hadn't won a Super Bowl yet, but they had LT. They were on their way. You could tell they were getting better and better. Parcells was their coach. So they were getting better and better every year. I don't know if it was the strike year, but Duke and my father were friends because we only lived a couple houses down. Duke was like on the corner of Lounsbury, almost on the corner of Lounsbury. We were on the corner of Mountain View and Pearl. So Duke calls my dad up one day and is like, hey, me and Phil just got done playing because they used to play golf all the time.
Phil Simms.
Phil Simms would play golf with Duke. Phil liked playing at Wiltwick. Duke was a member of Wiltwick. I want to come up and play. Okay, Phil, come on up. So one day, they're over at the Holodome, and I don't know all the places you could have taken this guy to eat lunch. You're going to take him to the Holodome and on Washington Avenue, take the guy to Hillside Manor. Take him, take him to wherever. So I don't know if I was out of school that day. I remember my father came in. My mother would probably have a better recollection of the story because I was definitely 11 or 12. There I go to meet Phil Simms. He's a tall dude. and I didn't know he was going to go on to be one of the greatest Super Bowl quarterbacks of all time at that time. Shook his hand, sat there, took a picture, and we sat there, the three of us, and Duke was there too. Duke was talking to other people. And when we sat there, we had a conversation for like 20, 30 minutes. My dad was asking him questions. Oh, what do you football, real questions, like, why does this guy block? Why do you rotate this guy out of the line? I was just like, looking around, but he was really cool. And I think he gave me a candy cane or something like that. But he was the coolest. I never met an NFL player
that's
like
great.
that. And then the other time, do you remember when the Giants? Do you remember when LT, Dave Jennings, Gary Jeter? Remember when they came to play the Kingston High School basketball team? It was a fundraiser.
I don't recall.
It was on a Saturday. I was like 10 years old, so my dad took me, Pat Murphy, and a few other kids from the neighborhood. Oh, come on, kids! We're going down to Kingston High School. The LT, Gary Jeter. Remember how tall Dave Jennings was? Dave Jennings was a tall punter.
Yeah, he was 6'5".
Yeah, that's pretty tall for he wasn't as tall as Ray Guy, but he was a tall dude. You're like, God, this guy puts on a helmet and pads. He must be even taller. But he's a really good punter. So Dave Jennings, Gary Jeter. I want to say, God, I forgot who everyone. And LT, but the main attraction was Lawrence Taylor. So they played them for charity. Kingston High School's basketball team. We had a really, really good basketball team that year. I want to say it was like 1985. Maybe it was 1984.
Must have been.
And we had a kid on Kingston High School that could dunk, and I forget what his name was. I mean, he was just unbelievable. And he was running circles around LT, and LT was in his prime shape then. I mean, big as a rock. But they were, there must have been at least a couple thousand people there just watching, the Giants play.
Anybody do a blood test on LT?
No one did a blood test. I don't think he was smoking rocks then yet, but
I'm not quite sure.
Anyway, I think Bill's in the lobby. Let's go to break, and then we'll start off with our first guest.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
On top of first-class care, you will never receive a bill. The only thing we had to worry about was just keeping Azalea comfortable. St. Jude saved her life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drugfacts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
A powerful community bank is one that has leaders that are involved in their community. At Rondout Savings Bank, they invest in the success of our community by working side by side with local people and local businesses. When you choose to bank Rondout, you are part of a bank that is dedicated to the future of your success and the success of your community. Rondout Savings welcomes you to open an account today and discover what it means to be part of a powerful community bank, one that knows you by name. Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and our community, with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park, also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Okay, we're back. So I guess
welcome back, Lawrence, and welcome to the audience. Apparently, we've had a mix. We locked out our next.
I think, because I got here. I didn't get here this morning until 6:30. I actually got a good night's sleep last night. And
nice guy. I haven't met him yet.
No, I think Bill never misses a show. I just texted him. We'll wait to hear back from him. He also can call in, because now that we got our phones fixed, he can also call in. Bill never misses a show. I'm hoping he didn't show up and wiggle the handle and see that it was locked. But you know what? When I went out in the hallway to put my mom's papers in her office, I noticed that the lights were all off in the hallway, so they stay on for 15 minutes.
Maybe he just forgets.
Yeah, it's no
But
big
it
deal.
allows us, Lawrence, to talk about the current state of affairs in Ukraine.
Yes.
Which really is both alarming and also candidly inspirational to see what those Ukrainians are doing.
Yeah.
Apparently now they're on the offensive.
Yes.
They're taking back some of the suburban towns outside of Kyiv, or Kiev, however you pronounce it. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a quick response.
Well, Bill's up early. Oh, he's calling in now. Okay. Good.
Great. All right, so we have our guest calling in. Well, I hope we didn't lock him out, Lawrence.
Always the fourth Tuesday of the month at 7:30. Is it you, Bill?
Well, folks, we're trying to hook up.
We're going to put you on that. So Don Williams is the co-host, and I'll be there as well. So hang on one second.
We're getting a hookup right now.
Okay, Bill, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you. My apologies.
Okay, great.
Good morning, Bill. We were afraid. This is Don Williams. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Life is entirely too good to me, Bill, and you don't hear people say that often, but I finally get to meet you. I've heard a great deal of, and I should say that, Bill, we never met as far as I can recall. I don't think you were ever in my courtroom. Were you ever selected as a juror in county court?
I was, except that when I called in, they didn't need me.
Oh.
Did he get out of jury duty with?
No, but he said when he called in, they didn't need him. It's probably the person might have pled guilty or something, Bill. It happens, unfortunately, on a regular basis. But at least you didn't have to come and sit around for half a day or a full day and wait. So now, I'm learning a great deal about what you do for a living, Bill, but maybe you can get me up to speed a little quicker. And Lawrence sings your praises. So tell us about the D&H Canal and exactly what you do there.
Well, I'm a past president, but since when we got the grant that got us the Pew Tavern, the state grant that sort of moved us into our new home, but I'm the deputy director for collection, historian, and curator.
Wow, that's quite a title. Does that fit on one page? That's amazing.
So I like to tell people they pay me in titles, right? Well, we're a very small staff, so we have to all spread out our you have to have many. I wear many hats.
You have many responsibilities.
I've done primary source research, and I've changed toilet seats and cleaned them. So, it really...
It sounds like what I did to get through law school, Bill. That's...
But, well, you do what you got to do, right? But, no, we celebrate the story of the D&H Canal. We've got an echo there.
What a history. What a history about the canal. That dates back to when, Bill?
Well, they started digging in 1825. It was fully operational from Port Jervis to Rondout in 1827. Opened completely in 1828. Ran coal until 1898, and then ran from Wurtsboro to Rondout for another year or two, and then it ran cement from High Falls, Rosendale, to Eddyville until 1917.
And
probably the First World War.
How long was it? And I should know this. They were small barges that were transferring coal and other items, and they were pulled by horse. Is that correct? What was the mechanics of how the canal worked?
Well, there's the way the locks works, and the actual canal. Yeah, you had canal boats. The early boats were 70 foot long and 9 foot wide, and carried 30 tons of generally coal, because that's what the canal company was.
I didn't know that.
They used, the D&H Canal Company was really a coal company, but it needed to build a gravity railroad and a canal to get its product to market.
Okay.
Those boats used a single animal. They used horses and mules. Mules were the preferred animal because they were real workhorses. But they worked longer and harder with less speed, and they for whatever reasons tended to have less problems. A horse might go lame, and then you had to take care of it, but you couldn't use it.
Right. Sure.
And they also said the mules were less likely to get distracted. A horse may want on a hot summer day to go into the canal, but the mules couldn't be bothered.
And they'd actually,
1850,
they would be tethered to the boat or the barge in what fashion? I mean, that's
a very long tow rope.
A rope. That's amazing.
Yep, a long tow rope. Probably, I've never seen it. I see mention in the historic record of the tow ropes, but I don't see anybody say how long they are. In all the images, the tow ropes are, 100 foot long or a little better. The later boats, the only pictures we have are after 1850. At that point, the boats were 90 foot long, 14 and a half foot wide, and those carried 130 tons of coal, and they needed 2 mules or horses. Some people would use a mixed team with a horse and a mule because the horse was a little smarter and less stubborn, and so it might guide. But the mules, as I say, were the preferred animal.
Wow.
And the mule was popularized in America by George Washington, who got studs from the King of Spain when he was president, and he started using them on his plantations. He is enslaved, but that's a whole other horrible story.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't touch on that. The mules we got them from Spain, at least the studs, to breed.
Yeah, so that would be the donkey, because a mule is the sterile offspring of a male donkey and a female horse.
All right, run that by me once more, Bill. A mule is the sterile
offspring.
Why?
Yep, they can't reproduce. The only way you get a mule is you cross a donkey stud with a mare.
Now, I'm not a biologist. Neither is our next Supreme Court judge, apparently. But why does the offspring become sterile?
That's a good question, and that is a question for a biologist and not a historian. We just know that it's so. So you can't put two mules together, a male and a female, and expect to get anything but, you won't get offspring.
So that's the end of that line. Once that mule, and you said it's a combination of a donkey and a horse. Did you say?
Correct. Yep.
Wow.
And we don't want to go too far down that one.
No, I was going to say, how do they do that?
How did this happen again?
Yeah, you could probably pull it up on YouTube, but I care not to. So, all right. So now a mule, and what is the benefit of the mule? It's supposed to be less stubborn than a donkey.
Well, no, actually, mules are. Well, I don't know. A donkey probably wouldn't be big enough.
Okay.
But, I mean, so you're bulking up an animal. Because mules were horse size.
So the studs that President George Washington was getting from Spain, they were actually donkeys.
Yes, it was a pair of, as I understand the story, it was a pair of donkey studs, of male donkeys that from the King of Spain's, so they must have been making
His
mules
stable.
at that point. Yeah, from his stables as a gift to the president of the nascent United States.
That is absolutely
but then
amazing.
George Washington embraces the mule, and it becomes, in the 19th century, as I say, the predominant draft animal on all the canals and working in farms and.
Now, Bill, there must have been other canals that were using the similar method of transportation throughout the country.
Oh, absolutely.
Why did George Washington pick the D&H Canal?
Well, he didn't. George was gone way before the canal was conceived by the Worth brothers.
Okay.
It more is that a farm technology, if you want to put it that way, gets embraced.
Understood.
He starts using these on his farm at Mount Vernon, but that he presumably sells them. People catch on. They're, hey, these animals are great. And by the 19th century, by the time America really had canal fever in the first half of the 19th century, really with the opening of the Erie Canal in 1825, I believe it was, that really leads the way.
And the Erie Canal must have been much longer than the D&H.
Well, the D&H was 108 miles and originally had 110 locks. The Erie Canal was 365 miles, but only required 85 locks.
But not that much bigger. That's amazing. For some reason, I thought the Erie Canal was significantly bigger. Now,
365 miles, Buffalo to Albany.
Yeah, that's a long way. That's a long way.
Follows it's a throughway today.
If people go to visit the museum and the D&H Canal, can they actually travel? Is the path that the mules would take to pull these barges, is it still there?
I just finished leading the field survey of the update of the National Historic Register listing of the D&H Canal, and in fact, there is an awful lot of the canal still extant. There are sections that are still watered. If you come to my museum, we're not open yet, but we'll be opening in June 18th, our new museum in the Depew Tavern in High Falls. But we have the 5 Locks Walk, and that walk is the towpath. Well, in High Falls, they had 2 towpaths. For the most part, a canal had a towpath, usually on the river side of the river valley they were built in. And then there was the berm side, which today you and I say a berm is a man-made mound. That's the
correct
dictionary definition. But in the historic era, it was just the side of the canal opposite the towpath. It's my contention that somewhere around the turn of the 20th century, confusion, people started calling the towpath a berm, and the berm was a man-made mound, and so that phrase gets
why the 2 separate paths?
Well, usually you only have one. There was no reason. It was very difficult. You're building river valleys. It's hard to get it where you can navigate on both sides,
Right, sure.
But here in High Falls, the 5 Locks Walk is on the 1850 realignment of the canal here in High Falls. So the canal was following the Rondout Creek, but here in High Falls, they were dropping 80. I can't remember. I don't have it memorized, but 80, 100 foot. In a fairly short area, and so there were locks that were too close together. Is my contention, and I've got to go measure it sometime. Old Lock 19 and Old Lock 20, that they couldn't accommodate the longer boats, and they were forced to do what they called the deep cut in High Falls. And if you drive on Berm Road, I do this every day on my way to work. You get to a point and you look to either side and you realize there's 30 foot of material they dug out here to make the canal run here.
And they had to probably
rock. What's that?
They probably dug that out by hand. I mean,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, they were using Irishmen picked shovels, and in fact, I've read, although I've only heard it in one source, that it was a well-known aphorism in the 19th century that all you needed to build a canal was a pick, a shovel, a wheelbarrow, and an Irishman.
People just don't realize that the Italians and the Irish did so much difficult labor to help build this country, and unbelievable.
Yeah, well, the D&H Canal, I can say definitively, could neither have been constructed nor operated without immigrants, people of color, women, and children.
Right.
The building was largely the Irish. The operation was everybody. There's no way it would ever existed if they depended on the people who lived here.
And when was this?
So this is,
when was the Civil War in relation to this? Because I know that so many Irish came over during the course of the Civil War because of the Great Potato Famine. But
the potato famine was like 1840 something.
All
so
right.
that's the highlight. So it's interesting you mentioned the Italians. The Italian immigration period is the latter part of the 19th century, early 20th century.
Oh, I didn't realize.
The Ashokan Reservoir, that was blacks and Italians, but the D&H Canal was Irish and German, and that's because there's peaks of different countries for various reasons. The Germans start coming over because of the Napoleonic Wars. That's how John Roebling winds up here.
Yeah, there always seems to be a motivating factor, other than the fact that I'm obviously biased, but this is the greatest country in the world, but there always seems to be some tragedy that's occurring in one of the countries that causes immigration here. But boy, we have really reaped the benefits of that, and to some extent now also, although that's a politically sensitive topic we shouldn't touch on. So when did you get involved, Bill?
Well, I bought a house along here in High Falls back in 1995. I liked old houses. Once I started looking to buy a house, I needed more room for my business at the time, which was repairing musical instruments.
Oh my God, Bill, where are you from initially?
I'm from Albany, but I moved to New York City to apprentice with a bass luthier, double bass luthier, and I had a
I'm sorry, a double bass
luthier.
You said
luthier, repairman. Luthier, Luthier.
Understood.
It's a crossword word, crossword puzzle word.
I don't do many of those anymore. I should, but so you were in Albany, went to New York City to apprentice, and then did you come directly to Ulster County?
Well, I lived in Greenwich Village. So that was 1979, and I moved to the city. By 95. Some of my business activities were such that I needed more room, and New York is ridiculously expensive. And I started looking for a place between Albany, basically, where my family still is, that area, in New York. And I discovered Ulster County.
How did you discover it? I know how people are discovering it now, coming up from Brooklyn, but how did you come upon Ulster County and there's so many places between Albany and New York City. What was it? And historically?
Well, in a certain way, it was economics. I like to say this is as close to New York City as I could afford to buy. Real estate gets more expensive. Everything gets more expensive the closer you get to Manhattan, right?
It's very true.
But just to round the story out, I always think in beginning, middle, and end. The house I bought because I was looking at old houses was an old canaler's house, and there's the canal. To this day, I can look out my window, and it right in front of it. And so I was fascinated by it, and I started studying the D&H Canal, to learn about it and to learn about the man, Jeremiah Merritt, whose house I live in.
Jeremiah Merritt?
Jeremiah Merritt. Huh. Yeah. I love the name Jeremiah. Just there's something about it, right?
Yeah, one of my good friends.
He was a farmer and worked on... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, a good friend of mine, Jeremiah Flaherty, was a local defense attorney, used to do battle with me when I was a DA, an assistant DA, and then appeared in front of me as a judge, passed away. And Jeremiah is a strong, traditional, classic name, and it's good to hear that people are going back to naming their children with strong traditional names. It's good to know. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Bill. So you bought Jeremiah Merrick's house?
And in fact, he was a canaler for at least one season because I've located him in actually a court case. A lot of what I know about the D&H Canal, there was a famous court case. The canal had expanded its final expansion where they rerouted it in High Falls. To get back to that story, what happened when they dug through, they encountered stone, and so they couldn't have the towpath as close to the canal. Ropes would foul, And so they just had to make 2 towpaths. And since they weren't in a river valley, here they had the opportunity. So for about a 2-mile stretch, there was 2 towing paths. But that was very odd. Most canals have just a single towpath, usually on the side of the river. And you're building in river valleys because you can get a source of water. As the canal locks down, you capture water and send it into the canal from the body of water you're following.
And what would cause a lockdown?
Well, the locks are the devices to raise and lower the boats.
Yes.
Water stays at a level, and, I forget that. I've got to memorize how many, it was close to 1,000 foot of elevation they had to supplant. As I say, that's why the Erie Canal in the Mohawk River Valley only required, and locks typically have about 10 foot of lift. So the Erie Canal then only had to do about 650 feet across that of dropping down into the Hudson.
Yes.
From Buffalo across that 385 across that 365 miles. The D&H had 110 locks, so they had over 1,000 foot. But the D&H, they went up until they got to the summit level around from Cutterbackville to Ellenville, and then from there they're dropping. So really, it was sort of up 500 foot and then down 500 foot.
Understood.
And
and
so
so,
more complicated than that. But
how long was
how
long was D&H Canal in operation, Bill?
Well, as I say, 70 years from, roughly 28 to 98, but then it still retains some of its function, albeit no longer as a coal company, but just as a transportation network until 1917.
1917. What
yeah,
caused
so you've got
it?
almost 90 years.
That's a long time. What caused it to, in essence, stop functioning?
The railroads. By 1872, which happens coincidentally is the peak year, that's the year the D&H Canal moved almost 1.5 million tons of coal on their canal. That's the peak for them moving coal on the canal. But at that same point in time, they had been buying up and building railroads, and they controlled rail lines from New York City to Montreal.
And was that just
So
a
in
less
some way-
expensive or more efficient way to transport the coal or other objects?
You needed the coal in the winter because the canal was typically only operating from April till November or December.
Understood.
So your coldest months, you better stock up on your coal because the coal boat ain't coming. Really, railroads were canals had that operated. I'm trying to say that their utility. They were the way to build transportation infrastructure until the railroads developed. In fact, the D&H Company builds a gravity railroad and operates the first locomotive in the Western Hemisphere, but there's technical reasons why it only operated for 2 days, two trials.
2 days?
Well, 2 different trials. So that's an interesting story. John Jervis builds this gravity railroad. It's hemlock stringers with 2-inch by 1/2-inch iron plates on the top of it. And he specs it out for 5 tons. There's a young man by the name of his name will come to me. They've got a guy who's a young engineer from Schenectady. I'm blanking on his name. Who it was already realized that railroads. He quits the canal company, goes to England to study railroads. So they say, while you're there, buy us this iron strapping we need, and let's look into some locomotives. And he arranges for the purchase of 4 locomotives. They're like almost $4,000 a piece.
Which was a great deal of money back in those days.
Oh, yeah. When $100 is a good year's wages for a common worker,
wow,
$50 to $100. So a phenomenal amount of money. And so this railroad is, a nascent technology. They get it here. In fact, the 2 of them are shipped to Manhattan on a boat, and it's very distracting because of the echo. They actually put them up on a foundry, and people come from all around just to watch the wheels turn because it's such an amazing technology.
Yeah, especially back then if they have never seen it before.
It's the future, isn't it? Steam technology. You've been using water power all this time. Now all of a sudden, steam is what you're going to use. So they put it on a boat. They get it all the way to Honesdale. Horatio Allen was the name of the engineer. I knew I'd remember it. He actually says, I'm going to operate this because this is unsafe. Well, it wound up when they get to Honesdale, the darn thing weighs 7 tons, not the 5 that was spec. So you got to scratch your head. I did a little research. The Imperial system versus the American system. The Stourbridge Lion was 5 English tons or Imperial tons, but it was unfortunately 7 tons, and so that was too much for the tracks. And so the Stourbridge Lion was a failed experience at that point in time. The other one, the America, exploded in trials. At this point, I always have to stop and say, it's interesting to think that something that seems so obvious to you and I isn't. Some genius has to invent it. In this case, the pressure relief valve. Steamboats and steam engines exploded promiscuously until somebody in about the 1850s says, you know, we could put a thing in there. When the pressure gets too high, I'll just let the steam go out.
Yeah, Bill, it's amazing. You must be a wordsmith.
Yeah. Bill, not to cut you short, thank you for calling in this morning. Bill Merchant from the D&H Canal. We kind of ran over time. Our next guest is in the lobby, but thank you for calling in. Thank you, Bill Merchant, always on the 4th Thursday of the month at 7:30.
Bill, great to talk to you.
It's in my calendar correctly now.
Hopefully we'll see you in the studio next month, Bill.
Great to talk to you, sir.
I'll see you in person.
Have a great weekend, Bill.
Enjoy, Bill.
You too.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Folks, we'll be back in a minute with birthdays and Sue Marcy.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed, support causes that matter, change lives, change communities, change the world. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from. All that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Enough to talk about.
Okay, we're back. Yes, before we jump in with our next guest, Sue Marcy from United Way, I believe we have, it's like 3 birthdays there, which is great because we've been low on birthdays this month.
Oh my goodness, we had 3 at the United Way this month.
These, Sue,
I
because
get
you're
2.
talking voices.
Now, don't get stumped by the names. Just do your best.
So why don't you go with the first one, Sue, and then I'll break in between.
Okay, happy birthday to Chloe Gooden, whose birthday is on March 24th.
And that is coming from whom? Does it say or who or whatever the proper English is?
It does not. Hang on.
Does not.
Unless I probably read the wrong one. Hold on. Oh, yes, it is. Here it is. Mom, Dad, Emma, Michael, and Anna.
Sounds like a whole
Happy
family.
16th birthday to Chloe Gooden. Happy birthday, Chloe.
The second one is a happy birthday on today, March 24th, to Roy Jones, who parenthetically, Roy, today is his 81st birthday. God bless you, Roy.
Yeah.
And that is from Marianne and William Banks Jr. Happy birthday, Roy. And
good.
one more.
One more, and I think I had one from this group the last time I was here. Today, Thursday, March 24th. Happy birthday to Gretchen Giles. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. From your friends.
That's why I gave it to you, Sue.
From the friends at Hurley Pearlers. And I think I did a Hurley's Pearlers the last time I was here. So
What is a Hurley
Pearlers? I imagine they're a knitting group. Knit and Pearl.
They pearl.
Knit and Pearl.
I thought it was
Pearl.
a singing group, but I guess
Well, maybe they sing while they knit. Who knows?
Oh, boy.
Anyway,
And
the winner
today's winner is, where's your cowbell? Tony has the cowbell.
On the cow.
All right, you left it on the cow. Today's birthday winner of the famous cow pie from Boyce's Dairy Milk House is Chloe Gooden. There it is.
There you go.
Lawrence
Cowbell.
found it.
I know where it
Awesome.
is.
Thank you.
Oh, congratulations.
Birthday.
Have you had a cow pie?
I have not had a cow pie.
I'm embarrassed to say that I have.
Oh, are they
I have
delicious?
a few issues that are difficult to overcome. One of them is I love ice cream.
Oh, I love ice cream too, and I just got diagnosed with a dairy allergy, so it really stinks. Yeah,
Lactose intolerance.
just the dairy. I don't know.
Yeah, probably lactose
I still
intolerant.
cheat, so
And my
I
problem
might
is,
break that for a cow pie. Yeah.
My problem is that when I have ice cream,
Mm.
it could be a half a gallon or a cow pie.
Oh my gosh! At one sitting?
I'm not that much of a pig, but before the night is over, I take several trips to the freezer.
Oh no!
And the one time I had a cow pie, which was delicious, ate the whole darned thing.
Uh-oh. How big are they?
They're big enough you shouldn't be eating a whole cow pie.
Oh, you
They're
should
pretty-
you should share it with a friend, huh? Okay. Well, happy birthday to all our birthday people today.
Absolutely.
And a happy birthday to all my United Way March birthdays. We had Amy Summers, Cecilia DeFerrari, and Stacy Ryan. They all had birthdays in March, so happy birthday.
When does Stacy retire?
Stacy retires June 30th is her last day.
And are you?
I will be ascending to the CEO position on July the 1st.
Or the responsibility. And I'm sure you do a great deal of that now.
I'm doing more and more of it every week. So I was in 3 different meetings this week, the groups that I wasn't familiar with previously, but now I do. So
What are the parts, Sue, that you enjoy the most? And if I can ask, and I know occasionally I have a problem, what are the parts that are the most difficult for you?
Oh golly. I mean, I love the work that we do. I mean, I love being able to answer the phone and saying to people, yes, we can help you. So that's
That is
the
a
best part of the whole. I mean, they call it paychecks of the heart. In fact, I had a client call me yesterday who we've assisted with various little things emergency-wise over the last 10 years or so. And he said, Sue, I have great news. I said, what's that, Kevin? He said, I spoke with my landlords, and they're not going to raise my rent. I'm at a meeting with them, and I told them I've been a good tenant, but they knew from when I moved in 4 years ago, I'm on a fixed income. He's disabled. And he said, I know that they can get more in the market and everything now, but I told them, I've been a good tenant. I don't cause trouble. I try to keep it clean. And they said they were so pleased with me as a tenant, they weren't going to raise my rent. So we were
That's
very,
fantastic.
very excited for Kevin because he was very concerned. He didn't know where he was going to go. He's on a fixed income, and there's not a lot of housing out there right
No,
now.
and
So.
rent,
So thank you to Kevin's landlords. We appreciate that.
we love the fact that we're getting to experience so much of the good of the city coming up. When I back in the 90s and mid 80s, much of what was coming up from the city was not good. In relation to the crime that was coming up because of the crack pandemic. But we're getting so much good. The problem with it, the prices of homes have become astronomical, which also means the price of rent
Yes.
And
yeah, and that's a problem right now. In fact, one of the things I was going to talk about is our Emergency and Homelessness Prevention Fund. And during the pandemic, when there was the eviction moratorium, we were doing maybe about $8,000 a month in assistance for various things. Primarily 80% of what we do is rental assistance from that fund. It's jumped back up to pre-pandemic levels, which were between $30,000 and $40,000 a month. So there's a great need out there. There's not a lot of housing
and I
available
saw today
for
in the
folks.
Daily Freeman that some of, I guess it's the infrastructure money that the county has received, that some of it will be used for housing. Do you have any idea will it be financial assistance for people?
I'm sure it will. I know that they have a grant request for proposals out there now, and that's some of the American Rescue Plan Act money. And nonprofits will be applying for that. And a lot of the partner agencies that we work with provide housing case management for housing assistance and on a rental assistance. And it just means that we guarantee the landlords we're going to pay them. If someone's in arrears, we take care of that. So that's all to be determined yet in terms of who gets it. The application is due May 6th, so we won't be seeing it probably until the end of the summer, but it will be out there. And there's other pools of money from the government that are out there. So there's many agencies that do rental assistance processing.
Which will bring us to the second question I asked, but before we do, I know that when we're talking about rental assistance, one of the most difficult things, and obviously the cases I had before me as a judge were horrible, but one of the most difficult was, for some reason, the county court, which does principally criminal cases, felonies, I also had to do foreclosures. And there were times, and the banks really, one of the things that's so good about our local banks,
they're amazing.
Ulster Savings, Rondout Savings, and some of the others, they really worked with the people that could not pay. The county attorney on tax foreclosures really worked with the people that paid. And the county
they still do.
And it's incredible. And they said, we do not want to get involved in house sales.
No, that's not their job. Real estate's not their job.
It's not their job. But at some point, there were times that whether people were just incapable and losing a home that you've been in for your entire life, in essence, because you cannot afford the taxes, which the taxes are outrageous now in Ulster County.
All over.
Maybe all over, but for some reason. Anyway, that's a difficult thing.
It
is. The second question.
What's difficult? What's difficult is when either we don't have the resources or, like you said, someone's so far behind, we can't, at the United Way, can't provide the case management, so we refer them to another agency like Family or RUPCO who has case managers on hand to help them see if there's other programs out there that they're eligible for, other places they can go. It breaks your heart. I had a gentleman come to the office the other day who recently lost his home because it burned to the ground. Now, he was renting there, but obviously he was displaced, so now he's homeless. He's staying with his sister. His sister's going away to Florida in about a month, and so he's not going to have a place to stay. He just recently was diagnosed with leukemia. So I gave him a whole list of agencies to go to and told him to call me back, if he needed more assistance. But all he wanted was a little bit of rental assistance, but he didn't know where he was going. He didn't have a place lined up, and he was on a fixed income. He was disabled. So, there's a lot of need out there, and hopefully a lot of this government money is going to come down and be available for folks like that and give them a hand up. It's not a handout. These folks have worked hard, due to no fault of their own. They either got sick or they're disabled or whatever it is, and maybe they have a mental illness. Everybody deserves a home and a roof over their head and food in their pantry and a safe place to be and access to whatever services they need to keep them healthy and whole. And that's, what we try to do. And if we can't do it ourselves, we have a big network of folks to refer them to. So we try and do that.
Does it seem that it's more difficult now here in Ulster County than it was before? We may have access to more funding, but the problem of especially rental property, it's just so difficult to find housing.
In the housing, there's always been, since I've been here, there's been not a lot of extra housing out there, what we call affordable housing, and I don't even know what's affordable anymore. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but there's a lot of agencies out there who are working together, and we do our very best to help everyone who comes through the doors.
People that are struggling paying their rent, they have United Way as a possibility. What are the other agencies that they can reach out to?
They can reach out to Family of Woodstock. They can reach out to
Family of Woodstock does that.
Mm-hmm. They do a lot of case management, and they administer other funds for other folks. They help do the intake for our emergency fund. RUPCO does a lot of housing. They're the go-to agency for housing. They maintain the Section 8 list and availability.
RUPCO does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Catholic Charities is another agency that helps. Salvation Army helps folks. There's a lot of them. There's the Ulster Immigrant Defense Network helps. I'm drawing blanks on some of the other ones, but there's a lot of agencies. And you can look on our website, ulsterunitedway.org, for a listing. There's the Mental Health Association for folks who may need case management for that, for themselves or a family member. So,
I know the issue of mental health was something that we felt lost about handling in the criminal justice system.
Mm-hmm.
And people, you can have a physical issue, and it's seen.
Right.
And people tend to understand that you have a physical issue that may prevent you from working or working to the ability that you'd like to. But when it's mental health issues, it cannot be seen. And even if you're aware it exists for individuals that do not have those mental health issues, it's so difficult to understand and appreciate.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know-
because they look fine, right? But they may act a little off sometimes. But
especially if it rose to the level of criminality, which now you have public safety concerns and other concerns. But
there are resources out there, and the Mental Health
Good.
Association, the Ulster County Health Department, Mental Health Departments, they're there to help and provide referrals, as well as all the other agencies that I mentioned. Every single agency that I work with, whether it's through the Emergency Food and Shelter Program, our Homelessness Prevention Fund, or just simply case management information referral that we refer folks to, every single one of the agencies here in Ulster County, the client is their focus. They're all passionate about what they do. They're all passionate about helping and giving back. And, they do their darndest to make sure that they can be there for clients and give the best help that we can. And it's a very collegial group. I mean, if you don't know something, you can call somebody and from another agency, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, so and so does that," and get you to the right place.
What's so great about it? The limited experience I had with many of these agencies, especially Family of Woodstock and United Way, was that there's no competition, even though theoretically there would be, because you're all looking for help for funding from a governmental agency, predominantly, although I'm sure they're private corporations,
donors, yes.
private donors. But there never seems to be a competition. It's because I think you're all in it for the same reason.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It's not about the agencies. It's about the clients that we all serve, and I think that's universal with every agency, whether you're serving kids or seniors or folks that need to learn to read or anything at all. So I highly recommend the human services community in this county. Is pretty awesome.
It's always been very special here in Ulster County.
It
For
is.
as long as I can remember, Ulster County always had that type of assistance across the board with social services that was, if not the best, one of the best throughout the state.
I think so.
Which is incredible, especially for, at the time I'm talking about, it was a very rural, conservative community.
It still is.
I'm not sure I could agree with that.
Well, it's changing. It's changing. The demographics are changing, as we talked about earlier. But yeah, and it's just, I think that's why folks go into human services, obviously, to help. I just want to give a shout out to everyone who works in the human services community. These last 2 years have been extraordinarily challenging for so many of us, whether we're working remotely or trying to do telehealth or whatever it is. And being there for clients, while we may have had stuff going on in our own lives or in our own agency, our own organization, you guys have stepped up to the plate, guys and gals. my hat's off to you. I'm always proud to represent the human services community in this county because they, hands down, I can't do the work they do. I mean, I have one case management call and I'm a wreck for the rest of the day. So they do it day in and day out, and I just want to salute them and thank them for all the work they do.
It's good to do that. And it's so many times, in order to handle that type of case on a regular basis, the fear is that human nature would make us hardened to the situation. I've never seen that. I don't see that.
No, I think everyone works really hard to keep a balance and give their all, but also take breaks so they can take care of themselves. Let's talk about something cheerful.
Yes, I was just about to say, on a much lighter. Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars Ulster Sterile is back. We're back on April 1st. No fooling. Friday, April 1st at Diamond Mills and Charities. For those of you who don't know, we do a Dancing with the Stars Ulster Style. It's going to be called our fundraiser. Emphasis on fun.
You did say April 1st.
April 1st, and it's no fooling.
Okay.
No fooling at all. We ask local stars, celebrities, couples to dance with various dance forms.
Who are the dancers this year?
The dancers this year, let me read them to you. We have Lara Hope and Matt Goldpaw, commonly known as Lara Hope and the Arctones. They're a local musical duo that do great work. We have Nicole Lacey and Travis Rask. Travis works for Gagnon CPAs and Gagnon Associates CPAs, and Nicole is up with Lacey Group up in Catskill, the auto group up there. Anya Faring and Ellen Cuevas. Anya is a designer and Ellen is an actor. They live here in Ulster County, and we're excited to give back. Erica Brown and Robert Burke. Erica works over at Radio Kingston, and Robert is her partner. Crystal Schachter, who's from SUNY Ulster, and she's one of our board members, and she's dancing with her sister Rosie Rion Porco, who owns the New York School of Music down in Walden. And we have a special guest appearance by our very own Stacy Ryan, and her dancing instructor partner is Drew Andrews from the Center for Creative Education.
Now, do you happen to know, and can you give this information out, what will Stacy be dancing to? What genre?
I will tell you that. Stacy is, we have nicknamed it the So Long Salsa. So it's a
salsa.
A salsa. So yeah, it's a mixture of Latin dances, and it's just to have fun. Stacy's not going to be included in the judging. For those of you who know our program, we have awards for all of our dance couples, and our judges this year are all former dancers, all former participants in the program. Sue Brooks, Kathy and Willie Bonelli, Gilles and Marianne Malkeen, they all did fabulous routines when they did their performances back in 2018 and 2019. And a big shout out to our instructors who give of their time and talents to coach our dancers. Linda and Chester Freeman from Got to Lindy Dance Studios. Also, Ron Fields is affiliated with Got to Lindy Dance Studios. Pam Marshall, who is in charge of the Hudson Valley West Coast Swing. And Thomas Reisman, who runs Diva Ballroom down in Orange County. So we appreciate our instructors all coming back as well.
And this is just not fun and games for these people or you. It's actually a fundraiser.
It is a fundraiser, yeah. Tickets are $50. You can get them online at our website at ulsterunitedway.org. We will sell tickets at the door. We're not going to have actual tickets. We're going to have a reservation list, so you're just going to give your name and we'll check you off the list. So, but all the money stay right here in Ulster County. So the other dance styles that are going to be included are Lindy Hop, West Coast Swing, freestyle, a combination of freestyle and merengue, a combination of solo jazz and swing, East Coast swing, and then the salsa, bachata, flamenco combination. And I don't even want to know. But I didn't even know. I mean, there's
you don't have to do it.
Different thing. I don't have to do it. Everybody's like, when are you dancing? I'm like, I'm not. I'm maybe emceeing at some point, but I'm not going to be dancing. So that said, if Drew were ever to ask me to dance, of course I would dance with Drew. Everybody wants to dance with Drew, so that would be awesome.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. But I didn't know there was all those different kinds of swing. There's East Coast swing. There's West Coast swing. There's, I don't know, another kind of swing. So come have fun. Come cheer on your favorite couples. Come say goodbye to Stacy. It's one of her last hurrahs before her retirement. And what else? So all of the funding stays in Ulster County. We currently fund Your donations currently fund 34 different programs at 16 different agencies throughout Ulster County. And we're also part of 9 different community partnerships that include our free tax preparation service, our VITA program.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but please talk more about that. It is tax season.
It is tax season. We are busy with tax clients.
VITA stands for, it's got to be an acronym.
Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program.
Okay.
So we say VITA, but you can say VITA. Doesn't matter. We currently have completed 116 tax returns, and that I wrote down the numbers.
116.
So
and who
far.
are the people that do the returns? Are they
Our fabulous volunteers, God bless them all 5 of them. Are doing it remotely.
116
Yeah,
returns.
so we've been doing this since the end of January, so God bless them all. They do several every week. And they're all returning volunteers. They're all IRS trained. It's about a 40-hour training they go through every year online to learn all the new tax laws and make sure everything goes where it's supposed to go and learn the software. And I look at it and I don't even want to know. But so far
this is a free service?
This is a free service for low-wage workers or low-wage income folks. Your household income.
I'm sorry.
Just go in there. Good question. The top is we'd like your income to be under $57,000, so we can provide the free service.
Extremely fair.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and that's the level to earn the earned income tax credit for a family of 4, I believe. So we don't discriminate, but we just pick that number. That's the top number.
Makes sense.
And so far, we've generated about $197,000 in returns. And just so you know, we do a survey every year, ask folks where they spend their return. 80% of it goes to bills right away. You know, it could be food, it could be a medical bill, could be housing, could be an emergency, could be car repair. About 1% can actually put it in savings. Some goes to student loan debt. So all that money comes right back to Ulster County and stays right here. So we're really proud of that. You know, so far.
How good. I mean, here I'm a lawyer. Now, I've never done tax law, but my return obviously may be a little more complicated than some others. But having said that, I could preside over a murder trial easier than I can try to negotiate Medicare and income tax.
Yep.
It's confusing, and you have people
We have
that are
Medicare,
qualified to do it.
we have social security, we have retirements. And you may think, oh, it's for low-wage folks. It's got to be very simple. Well, no, not really. Sometimes these folks are working 3 or 4 different jobs to make ends meet.
$57,000 sounds like a significant. Trying to live on that is difficult, but it sounds like a significant sum of money. But we're leaving out that they may have a family of 4.
Right, exactly. So it's important that they know what they come to somebody who knows what they're doing and can make sure that all the tax credits that they're eligible for are claimed. There's some confusion with the child tax credit this year because some folks were able to get it in advance, and so now at the end of the year they're not getting as big a refund as they normally got because it was advanced to them throughout the year. But we can make sure that that's all squared away for them. Folks who may not have gotten the economic impact payment for whatever reason, we can make sure that they've gotten that. And
How do those people, some people came in, I think, 3 separate checks, as I understand from speaking to, I didn't get any, unfortunately, but came from 3 separate checks. If someone doesn't remember getting a check, what do they don't want to lie on their tax?
No. Well, what happens is if they're not sure, and we usually have them check with if they give automatic deposit, we usually have them check with their bank. That's the easiest way to check. And all the checks pretty much for 2021 came in March. So check your bank statements for March. That's the best way to look. But if for some reason they don't know or it's missed, and we say that they didn't get it, and we put it on the tax return, it'll be deducted when the return comes.
They're not going to be in trouble. They realize it's an honest
No, not at all.
mistake.
And you're not taxed on it. So we're not asking you because you're not taxed on that economic impact payment.
Tax on the economic.
No. The only reason we ask whether or not you've gotten it is to make sure that you've gotten it, so we can help you get it if you haven't already.
I guess it doesn't make a great deal of sense to the people that need that receive those checks, to then tax it also.
Correct. Well, let's not go there, but no, absolutely not. So it's a great service, and I'm really, really proud of our volunteers. And I mentioned the 5 that do the returns themselves. We also have another volunteer who used to lead the program for us. She did it for about 10 years, and then she retired. But then she came back and she just does what we call quality review. So not only do you have one volunteer preparing the whole return and maybe asking you questions as they go through it, they'll call you up. We have another volunteer whose sole job is to, what we say, quality review, and she reviews every single tax return to make sure that we got everything in the right boxes, we've applied the tax law correctly, and if she has a question, she talks to our CFO, who is also a CPA. So we make sure that we try and get that all correct, and so far, knock wood, every single one has been accepted, so we're very, very excited.
Sue, this has gone quickly.
Are we done already?
Yeah, it's.
Oh my gosh.
We have a minute.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I could talk forever.
Well, she'll be back next month on the 28th.
For God's sake.
There we go. We have lots to say, lots to talk about. We can talk about the Alice population next month because.
Anything you want to leave with in this last.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. United Way is a locally managed non-for-profit agency who believes it's the right of every individual in Ulster County to have programs and services available to help them achieve their greatest potential. So we're locally run. It's a national brand, but we're independently incorporated. We service only Ulster County. All your donations stay right here in Ulster County. So I'd like to leave you with that. If you want to buy tickets, it's ulsterunitedway.org or give us a call at 845-331-4199. And you can also, if you're in need of services, call our hotline at 211. That's the information referral service that covers a 7-county area. That's available 24/7 for folks who may not know where to turn or may have a family member that's in need of assistance of some kind and they just don't know who to ask.
And you said that was 211?
211. It's a free call.
Great. Well, Sue, thank you very much. This half hour went by fast.
You're going to have to give me an hour next time.
Be careful what you ask for. It's good seeing you again.
Good to see you, Don. Thanks.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Please tell Stacy I said hi.
I sure will. I do every month.
Great.
Okay.
You take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll be back in a few minutes with Juan Figueroa.
Listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy. And you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed, support causes that matter, change lives, change communities, change the world. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Okay, we're back. Don, you want to introduce our next guest?
It's a great pleasure to have an old friend. I don't want to say you're old, Juan, but we go back a long time. But the Sheriff of Ulster County, Juan Figueroa. Juan, Sheriff, thank you so much for coming on. Strangely enough, Juan Lawrence told me that you were looking forward to this.
I have.
That makes me feel really good.
Why, we do go back over 3 decades, I would say, and I remember, sure, when I was a young trooper out of Kingston.
Correct.
And everyone knows everything that you have done for the people of this county, Judge, and we're all appreciative of everything that you have done for so many. We even personal stuff that we have been through over the years. It's important to keep things into perspective of our lives and the experiences that we go through, and what really form our basis, a foundation of how we think and deal with people. And sure, things are always, we're different human beings. If not, we'd be robots and everybody be saying the same thing. But I can tell you that my admiration and respect for you is endless, and I'm glad to be here today with you.
Juan, you can't thank you, and you can't imagine how much I appreciate that, especially now, since after 40 years I'm no longer involved, and I have to confess, I miss it.
Of course.
I do miss it. There is no better feeling in life, Juan, than, and I know you share in part of this. First is to help ensure, either when I was an assistant DA, chief assistant DA, or judge, that individuals innocent of any wrongdoing are victimized or their family is victimized, and letting them see that the criminal justice system, at least in this county, does work, and that justice can be done. And that's a tremendous feeling. On a more personal note, Juan, there also is no better feeling than being able to yell at a lawyer. It's just such a good feeling when lawyers do not come prepared and you can tell them, start preparing. Because for 30 years I appeared in front of Judge Vogt and Judge Brune, and I was the yellee, not the yeller. So that it's a good feeling. And I'm obviously being facetious about that, but I miss it a lot. And it's nice to hear you say that.
Well, it's in all of our, it's in our DNA. Whatever aspect of the criminal justice system that you're in for, so many years, it's in our DNA. Yesterday I was up in Albany, and there was a Sheriff Stevens out of Schoharie County. He's got 48 years in law enforcement. And so we were there with a meeting regarding a bill that they're trying to push down in Congress about investing in police, especially after all the stuff we've been through the last couple of years. And he said in 48 years, which is his entire career and most of his life, he's never seen the changes that he's seen in the last 3 years. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, it's been quite, and there's nothing wrong with adjusting and looking and self-assessing and because ultimately we all work for the people. This isn't a police state. I think everybody knows that. But it's tough when you have to speak to a victim's family and express to them that the system has changed. In some instances, change is always good. And if we have to readjust things, and I think the biggest complaint from law enforcement is not being able to have the opportunity to speak to the people that are making the laws and being left out, and the unintended consequences that occur when you make laws. I've been up there twice speaking as the only sheriff, actually, the Speaker of the Assembly. I was also up speaking to Senator, the Majority Leader, and her folks in her conference room. And those were tough conversations that had to be had, and that's okay, because government is really, I think everybody knows what their intent was, and the intent is that the bail system
had to be reformed.
Sure,
but
sure.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
And that's the readjusting period that we're all in right now.
And also, and you've had how many years of experience now as a trooper?
So I would say
investigator with the BCI.
Sure. And even in the corporate world, when I did 5 years in the corporate world, I was mainly going to court for cases involving law enforcement and U.S. Attorney's Office or the DA's offices. So, over 35 years in this profession, and that's a long time.
Trust me.
A lot of changes that you see.
Something in it, the one thing that's good, the pendulum is swinging back a little bit now, Juan, which is, or Sheriff, I should say, which really I'm thankful for. Because the changes had to be made.
Sure.
I mean, even the toughest people, and my reputation as a judge and a DA, I was more demanding of police officers and myself and my assistants than I was of anyone else, because you're here to do justice.
That's right.
Not just to get notches for the number of arrests or notches on your gun belt by the number of convictions or your sentencing. You're here to do justice. And sometimes because of the pressures that are placed on the players in the system from law enforcement, we can occasionally lose sight of that. But police officers, 95 to 99% of them are good people that are in the occupation for the right reason.
Absolutely.
It is no different than any other profession that there are some that are problematic. And police officers, sheriffs, chiefs of police, DAs, they're always there to try to screen those people out either before they come on or after the fact. And it becomes difficult for you folks especially because all of the civil service rules and the union rules. But you're always there to do good. And I know you, and I know Sheriff Van Blarken before you, Mike Kavanaugh before me, Frank Vogt before me. They always tried to impress people that you're here to do right and justice to the best of your ability, not to get your statistical numbers up.
And you're right, Judge. I mean, we definitely didn't do it for the money, especially when I started. But that's changed. I mean, everything. When I became the sheriff, I got into one of the cars and you're basically in some fighter jet. I mean, you have all kinds of equipment in there now.
And rightfully
that was never in there before. There's all kinds of stuff that are in there, from radars to computers, and the way the car is set up, to dash cams and body cams, and people say that it's tough for law enforcement to change, and there's some truth to that aspect. However, law enforcement is always changing. It's constantly changing. Everything is fluid with the laws, because we don't make the laws. We have to uphold them. So whether we agree with them or not, we have to uphold those laws. And some of the laws that
you take an oath to follow the law, even if you personally disagree with it.
Absolutely.
And you take that oath seriously.
Absolutely. But the young men and women that come on this job really come on this job to help people. That's really what this is about. And there are victims, and there are people that are true criminals out there that do bad things. And so it's everything that's been coming the way of law enforcement, even the corrections side of the house, which was completely new to me. When I became the sheriff,
and now you do both. Road patrol and corrections,
and the role of the local agencies and the chiefs, and the importance of what they do. We are constantly collaborating and working together and when we see things that happen anywhere else in the country that may affect the way we do things, we immediately talk about it, and we educate the rank and file, because we don't want the same thing to happen here. That's up to all the leaders in law enforcement here in the county, and we have a really good relationship all the way around, and I'm very happy of that. But the rank and file really has been feeling a lot of weight recently because of what happened somewhere else. I took this opportunity last year to really educate folks on what it is that law enforcement is trained on, the accreditation standards. Most people didn't even know that. No. I mean, I got questions like, well, why do police officers have guns? And I'm like, to protect people.
There are certain parts of the population, Juan. Education is great because many people do not understand. Most people don't. But there's certain parts of the population that just, no matter what you do, no matter how kind you do it, it's not going to matter. Why does a police officer have a gun? That's a great question. And, anyway, but the pendulum is swinging back, and, I felt so bad for you folks. I really was disappointed that the last time I didn't run, for many complicated reasons, many of them political, we won't get into it, because right when I left is when law enforcement was being attacked the most. And I wish I could have been there to send the message that, you're missing the target. Yes, there are bad people in law enforcement, like there are bad people everywhere. You just can't help that. But don't paint with a broad brush, because all of the police officers, and I was tough, I was demanding, but all of those officers that I worked with, virtually every one of them, were just great, and they cared about what was doing right for the community. Those that did not suffered the consequences of appearing in front of me, and that.
And you're right. I've seen a lot of good positive change from what I saw the last couple of years. I think there's nothing wrong with looking in the mirror and saying, okay, what can we do better to appease and really understand the outcry of what was going on. And some of that stuff we all know was going on. Sometimes you don't see it. It's not up front. We don't, and that is in any profession. You see things that are wrong, yet it doesn't really affect you that much. So you don't really say anything about it. But it starts to build. And when a profession changes from being, when I started, $19,000 a year, to what they're getting paid now.
I was 15 trying murder cases. I had to live with my parents for 3 years after trying murder cases.
But
however,
the difference, though, is that it's more of a, and back then there were the troopers and local law enforcement had 2-3 jobs.
Exactly.
And so they were in connection.
Moonlight.
Yeah, and you were
survive.
Interconnected with the community, and we've lost a few generations. I think it's tough to even now recruit folks to come into this profession. It's really tough, but that's going on not just in law enforcement and corrections. People don't volunteer for things. The fire departments are having issues. EMTs are having issues.
Neither one of us are social scientists. So we could talk about that forever. However, there really does seem to be an entirely different way that young people are looking at things. And I think, unfortunately, as a result of the pandemic, working at home, once you work at home, and especially if you have kids, it's pretty hard to tear yourself away from that and get back in the workplace. So there are many things that impact all of this, but I'm gonna touch on one thing about you personally that to me speaks volumes of your character. I was judge when you first ran for sheriff. Now, you may not remember this. I remember it vividly, and I think I mentioned it one other time on the radio. I worked closely with Paul Van Blarkum, had great respect for Paul, straight shooter, good sheriff, as you've said yourself. And you were running against Paul. I was on the bench. As a judge, you cannot get involved in politics. Thank God. For 10 years, I was supposed to, and I would not be involved with politics. But you also knew of my working relationship with prior Sheriff Van Blarkum. And I was walking to get a cup of coffee during the lunch break. Prizzy and I would just go across the street, get coffee, go back to work. I saw you walking down the street, and you had a big smile on your face, and I honestly was very happy to see you because we go back on a case that we won't talk about, but hit home for you personally.
Absolutely.
A very serious case, and I think you were in the academy at the time.
I was at the State Police Academy.
Again, I will not talk about that. If you want to
Sure.
sometime, that's fine, but it was a horrible case.
It was a horrible case,
You
sure.
were also, your family was victimized, and you came close to being victimized, as I recall. And we worked together on that, and I got to know you from that. And I think so highly of you back then and throughout. But now, first of all, thank God wasn't allowed to get involved. But seeing you, so happy to see you. And then you started walking across the street, and I said, oh my God, Juan is going to ask me to help him. Which, when you're running for office, you have to ask everyone to help. And you came across the street right in front of the courthouse, and right away I said, Juan, I can't get involved. And you said, I fully understand that. I fully understand. And you said, you also understand that because of my working with Paul, if I could get involved, if I might have to support Paul because I worked with him as well as we knew each other, but you knew I could not. And you said, I came across the street just because I wanted to tell you how much that what you're doing is appreciated. I will never forget that, Juan, because 99% of every other individual running for politics, whether they knew that a judge can't get involved or not, they would have asked for help. You didn't. And I sincerely believe that you came across the street not to look for help, not to do anything political, but you came across the street to show respect for the position and to tell me you thanked me for what I did. I will never forget that. We're talking some time ago. And I will never forget the case.
Well, thank you, Judge. And the truth is that the positions that we all take in life and the things that we do, and I said this earlier, is when you go through a life and you see the things that you see and you encounter the things that you encounter, it really shapes who you are going forward. And this job is and I have a lot of respect for the previous sheriff. And I told him that.
And you did. And you said it publicly also.
Absolutely. And it's, politics and it's, well, I guess I'm a politician now because I never was one before.
You have to run for office every 4 years, Juan. It's a reality that I detested. However, I'm sure you experience it also. When you go out and you talk to people, it's a wonderful feeling talking to people.
It is.
And it's just dealing with the political aspect.
And this is really a unique job because this is the only job in law enforcement that people get to pick who the top guy in the county is. I mean,
an elected position, which no other position, state police, no other position is an elected position.
And so it is unique. And I'm just the caretaker of the seat. That's my job.
Great way of putting it.
And my role when I make a decision is based on everybody, not just who the loudest people are. I am fair and just because of the way I was brought up and the experiences that I've had in my life. And I consider myself a fair person. I look at things. I know who elected me. Obviously, this is a political position, and so there are things that I know that I have to make a comment that I'll make the comment in regards to if I disagree or agree with something, and I have no issues with that. And I think a lot of that has to do with being a retired member, because I didn't do this because I needed to do it. I did it because I wanted to make a change and a positive change, and it goes back to my family and what we encountered coming here from the city in the 70s, and I wish my mom and dad were alive, and I met your mom. I had coffee with your mom.
My mom is a special person.
She was. Your mom was great.
We have a call, Juan, then we'll get right back to this.
All right, good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi. Is Judge Williams there?
Yes. Good morning.
Hi, Ralph calling. I have a question. In Wisconsin, they found that there was some voter fraud in Racine County. Now the DA there is refusing to prosecute because the perpetrators that committed the fraud don't live in the county where the crime occurred. Is that unheard of, that you don't prosecute when the person doesn't live in the county?
I can't speak for the state of Wisconsin, but I can tell you in New York State, not only is that unheard of, it's preposterous. It is not where the offender or the alleged offender lives or works. It's where the crime was committed. So any crime, voter fraud is one of them, that occurs within the boundaries of Ulster County, the crime should be prosecuted in Ulster County. And there are times you cannot prosecute every case to the fullest extent of the law, and there are times that you must extradite a defendant who is living in another state, such as Wisconsin, that committed a crime in Ulster County, and an extradition is expensive. So the district attorney then must contemplate and weigh, is this a serious enough crime that warrants the county spending significant sums to compel the defendant to return to Ulster County to face the charges? I don't know the facts of the case you're talking about in Wisconsin, but suffice it to say, any allegation of voter fraud literally destroys the foundation of our democratic process. And I'm stunned that a district attorney would decline a prosecution if it is one that's occurred and can be proven. Decline a prosecution because the offender lives outside of the county or outside of the state. That's absurd. You agree?
The sheriff is the one recommending the charges. So yeah, it's absurd. Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Hold on 1 second,
Yeah,
Ralph.
I wanted
I
wanted to say something about that because I don't know if folks know the way the voting process is, that there are monitors inside every election site, both for the Democratic side and the Republican side, and the Board of Elections are responsible for conducting these. And I was a poll watcher before, and I got to tell you, I find that really hard to believe. Because the arguments
hard to believe that the prosecution didn't occur.
Hard to believe that. To me, voter fraud will be easy to prove when you have so many people looking, because you got folks from all parties in there that are poll watchers that have specific duties and jobs. I mean, you can't even talk about or hand out anything. I think it's over 150 feet outside of the polling area here in New York. So that's a tough thing to do when you have people from both sides of the aisle that have poll watchers in there and observing the entire voting process, in particular, both primaries and general elections. So here in New York, as someone who was a poll watcher, I just can't see that happening without somebody proving that. And if it's easy to prove, is what I'm saying.
The only thing that it can be easy to prove, the only difficulty would be, for example, in Ulster County. I did not have these cases, but I've heard of them. That if somebody, for example, is living in New York City and also has a vacation or a weekend rental in Ulster County, the fear is that they could be voting in both locations. Now, ultimately, that can be determined, but a poll watcher wouldn't necessarily see that. So it can happen. I think this allegation is significantly greater, and it would be a surprise to me that wasn't picked up.
Regarding that specific situation, we've sent out deputies to check addresses by the Board of Elections. So they'll call us up, and we would have to send both sides of the aisle, and we would have to send someone to check to see if they actually live there. So that again, I just here in Ulster County, they really keep a tight eye on how things are run, and it's both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and including the others.
With all due respect, Sheriff, the use of electronic voting machines and the voting tabulation, there's a lot of opportunity for stealing an election with those machines.
Well, I didn't say that was not possible. I'm just saying that it's tough, and I'm sure there are safeguards to look at that. And of course, anything is possible. I mean, you're right, but the likelihood of that happening, though, is kind of tough.
And the thing is, that assuming those facts are accurate, Ralph, that the DA, I cannot imagine that the prosecuting authority would decline a prosecution if that could be proven. So that's
I agree.
That's true.
I agree.
Nice speaking to you. I hope that answers your question.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph.
We I only have 2 minutes, Juan. I should have scheduled you an hour.
He's got another caller, I think. You got another caller?
We got another caller. Caller, you're on the air. We only got 30 seconds.
Quickly, here's an interesting statistic. In the last 50 years, there's been 1,500 documented cases of voter fraud and 3 billion votes. So the voter fraud's a non-issue. That's just a white whale that doesn't exist. I mean, the numbers reflect that.
Thank you.
Just want to pass that along. Thank you.
Thank you. Endorsing your point, Juan, which is good. Juan, we have less than 2 minutes left, so this goes so fast. When I had Jid Tinty, it went so fast. Anytime I have people on that is in my area of expertise, and number one, really good to see you.
It's great to see you, too.
Thank you for the nice comments. The feeling is mutual.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate that.
Is there anything you want to leave in the final minute that we have, the people that are listening?
I definitely would like to come back on. There's so many things to talk about. I mean,
it really is.
Well, next time we'll get him on for an hour. That's what we'll do.
I'd love to do it. And then Juan, I'd love to have you back on.
Sure.
Lawrence will tell you when it can fit in your schedule. And then just let me know, Juan.
Yeah.
And I tell this to everybody. Dave Clegg, I say, tell me what areas you would like to discuss.
Sure.
Tell me if there are areas you don't want me to touch on. And I respected that about the personal case.
Right. I mean, I'm an open book. I don't.
You pretty much are.
Juan, the judge's next show is April 14th. We got an opening then if you would like to come in.
Right, I'll check
at 8
I'll
o'clock.
check out my calendar.
Okay, yeah, I'll text you later today. You let me know what's up.
Absolutely.
And my email, Sheriff, is, don't laugh, Donald Ulster, DA@AOL.com. I haven't changed it since I was district attorney.
All right, not to cut you guys short, we got to go. We're out of time. Right. Judge Williams, thank you so much. Sheriff Figueroa, thank you for coming in.
Great pleasure.
We'll be back tomorrow with the same show, same time, same place. Take care, everyone.